There are stories that connect us to ourselves and to each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. Now, exclusively on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, your hosts, AJ and Natalie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soul Wanderings. I am AJ Rasmussen, your host, and joining us tonight is the beautiful Natalie Peace, my co-host.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, this is still so much fun.
It's only been a few weeks since you've been a co-host.
I know. I have to tell you, it's different being a co-host than a guest.
It is definitely different.
But
more responsibility.
It is more responsibility. It's like, oh, okay, I feel myself stretching and growing. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're all about, right? We're here to help each other learn, grow, heal, all that good stuff. What's that?
Do the human thing.
Do the human thing. Yeah, that's what we're all about. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
So hello, everyone. This is Soul Wanderings, and we're hanging out on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. We hope you're joining us on one of these platforms of KGRA's, YouTube or Facebook, or even live on the website at kgradb.com. That's where you can find us live. We also have replays. Visit soulwanderings.com to learn more about myself and Natalie. We've been doing this sort of thing for many years, separately and together.
Yes. You're just remarkable. It still is just I remember when you were beginning.
What, beginning of the show?
Yes, the early shows. And it's like, wow. And then it just keeps going. And you've added years on. And look at you go.
Yeah, here we are 6 years later, still doing the thing.
Still doing the thing.
It's a lot of fun. I love being here with everyone. And I had this big moment today. I was hanging out with two of my employees. Well, kind of two of my team. And we were just talking about just all the things we get to do. And I got all choked up and thinking or feeling, I was totally in my feels, I should say, about how freaking lucky I am.
Right.
No, really, I am so blessed. I get to do, and not that this was handed to me. I worked really hard to get where I'm at right now. And are we there?
Did you?
It looks like my cord came
unplugged.
apart.
It's like,
I worked really.
This is a live show.
It is. I've worked really hard to get where I'm at, but I just sometimes have these moments, and more than not, but today was just one of those really big, profound moments where I was like, oh, my heart is going to explode.
With gratitude.
So I'm just so grateful, right? There's so much to be grateful for in life in general. But when you're doing the things that you know are your purpose,
yes,
and you know what you are meant to be doing, and everything just aligns for you in that way. And I think about all of the opportunities I've had to hold space for people and also even assist in their healing journey on some level. It does become a little overwhelming in the gratitude department in a beautiful way, right? But I had one of those big moments today, and I was just right when I walked in the door to my shop today, people were there waiting, like, AJ, I need this. AJ, what about this? And I'm just like, at first I'm like, whoa, hold on, let me walk in the door. But then I was like, wow, all these people are here because they really respect and admire my advice and my position
and what you do in our world.
And sometimes I don't think about that. I just go about my day. But today was one of those days where I was just like, whew, Thanks, y'all. Thank you for showing up for yourself and letting me be a witness to that.
Fill in
much
your love
gratitude.
bucket, huh?
So much so. I was just like, yeah. What was something good about your day?
Oh my goodness. I got to hang out with my little great nephew. He is,
Aw.
there's nothing like a young person to just bring you around in a different way.
Oh, isn't that the
Oh,
truth?
it's interesting because he has such this defined mind. And so it's very particular about the words that he uses and things. But he was playing with these magnets that are like, they're these shapes that you can build structures and things with.
Mm-hmm.
And just watching him build that and play with them and then learning colors and running around after my cats, it's just enjoyable. It's like lovely.
Mm.
He's like, we're going to play with this thing. And I said, well, I'm going to be cleaning. So you're going to play. Okay.
You play. I will witness your play.
Yes. And he said, it was very sweet. He said, when I was a baby, everybody said, I want to keep this baby.
Oh.
I said, yes, a lot of people thought you're just lovely. He's got the bluest eyes.
Oh my gosh.
He's just striking with
That's
his
like
eyes.
my grandbaby.
Yes, everybody wants yes.
Oh my
Your
gosh, I'm
grandbaby.
so in love. In fact, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to give you guys some medicine. Hold on one
Oh, here
second.
we go.
Just audibly.
Right.
Can you hear that?
Oh, we can hear that.
Okay, that is the cutest little baby giggle. That's my baby.
It blasts through all sorts of negativity to listen to a giggling baby
Mm-hmm.
that just like breaks through all kinds of heavy energy.
Yes, absolutely. It's the best medicine.
Best medicine.
The best medicine.
So that was part of my day. He's delightful. I don't
I'm
get
so
quite
happy
enough
that
time with
you
him,
get
but
to have those days with him.
yeah.
Wednesdays are good days for you.
It is good. Yes. So I'm like, we could hang out. Because as they grow older, then they start getting in school. And then those moments just are, they start to
Well, they
not be as
change.
frequent. So I'm going
Yeah.
to take advantage of them while I can.
Do it while you
Yeah, his
can.
mom is relieved for a minute to have just a little of her own space.
A little mama break.
Right.
Yeah. And it's so important, right?
It is so important.
I'm watching all of you pile in onto Facebook and YouTube. Thank you, Wanderers, for joining us tonight. We're so excited for tonight's show.
Yes.
It's going to be right up your alley. You're going to love it. I bet you're going to have a lot of questions. I anticipate you will. And in fact, our guest is already waiting to join us. So I think we're going to bring him on early.
Yeah, he's just ready to go. And it's like, okay.
Rearing and ready to go. Our guest last week was really awesome.
Yes.
Jacob Cooper. If you guys didn't get a chance to hang out with us live, you can catch the replay on kgradb.com.
That was so fun.
Yes.
So fun to hear about NDs. And then it came up this week in my grief group. They were actually talking about near-death experiences. And there was a new person there whose husband just had a massive kind of heart issue, but young.
Mm-hmm.
And he had an NDE. So then that was just really recent. So it was just like a month ago. And she was telling about that he had one. And I'm like, well, we just had his guest about that.
Yeah.
Where he
I think there are more people than you even know that are having
Mhm.
these experiences and just don't talk about them. But now that it's being brought out into the open, we're having those discussions more openly and being more transparent about our experiences, which I think is great because it adds to the value of our human experience and raises those questions of awareness and brings us together. And I love those conversations. I mean, that's why we do soul wandering. So
It's
they're the best.
I could do this all day long, every day. Well, oh yeah, I do.
I was like, isn't that what we already do? This is our daily. We do this all day, every day.
They do. There's that saying that says, find something that you really love and then make money doing it.
You'll
Or
never work a
do what
day
you
in your
love.
life.
Do
Mhm.
what you love and the money will follow. And it's really so very, very true.
I had a quote on my fridge for the longest time. It says, "Do what you love and love what you do."
Oh, I'm definitely blessed. I feel very blessed because my life has developed. I spent a lot of years in the career, in like the human resource career field. And I did enjoy what I did, but that is not even close to way it is now.
Right.
Where it's not work. I don't work anymore.
Mm-hmm. No, it's just fun. Because we're going to expedite our first hour of the show.
Yes, we're like,
Let's
we're
move
in the
on.
flow.
Yeah, let's get going. So you have some Natalie nuggets.
Yes, I do. So there was a couple. We talked earlier about one way, but I think today my nuggets kind of came in a different way. And so I do pick up a lot through the work that I do throughout the week. But yesterday in my grief group, there was this. So there's a lot to struggle with when someone dies and the reality of it. So this isn't necessarily about grief, but this is about a lot of times we want to argue about the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow within our mind, we will loop over a past experience, especially if it was traumatic or difficult. And you'll kind of go over and over it and over it mentally, like maybe looking for the loophole. What could I have done different?
Mm-hmm.
And I just, so there's the wisdom in understanding that what has happened has happened. It's done. It is what it is. And we've talked about that phrase before, but there's a lot of, I've wrestled with this concept of it is what it is throughout my life. And it's been a bittersweet relationship, kind of a love-hate relationship, and now a really a lovely place of peace to know that it is what it is. So we'll argue with reality, and we've said that was wrong. There were mistakes that were made, that kind of thing. There is a lot of wisdom to understand that it unfolded just as it needed to, even when that stretches and you want to even argue against that. So there was
breathe that in.
Yeah, breathe that in. It unfolded. So I do really enjoy the lovely little book, the 4 Agreements.
Yeah.
And in one of those agreements, it said to agree to always do your best. And then to understand that in the past, whatever was happening, everyone involved was most likely doing their best, even though, and the best doesn't mean 100%. The best means the best you have at any given moment.
Right. And it's not even the best doesn't mean 100%. It's also up for interpretation.
Yes.
So my best may not look like your best.
No.
And we judge each other so easily on what that looks like as well.
We do. And judgment is the
opposite of love.
Fear, all those things is so when we get into those mindsets, it is very freeing to understand that the things that have unfolded did unfold. They happened. Yeah. So I'm not sure, how do I sum up that wisdom? It's like when you find yourself arguing with reality, bring in this phrase, it is what it is, and then twist it and turn it and kind of see how that can change the perspective of it.
Oh, I like this nugget today, Natalie.
I'm not sure. It was powerful discussion yesterday. I'm not sure everyone really wanted to hear that, but I felt it's a responsibility of mine in those situations to bring little keys that they may be able to unlock the chains that they've locked themselves up in.
Well, I think it's very insightful. And I like the Natalie nugget today.
Thank you.
I had a conversation with Natalie right before the show, I hope I am present in this moment because I did some traveling last night. Not intentionally. It's just something that I do. I went off and away, and I am not sure all of me has come back today. But here in that moment.
It's here now. Be
Yeah.
here now.
Be here now.
As much as you could be here now.
It is what it is.
Mhm.
But no, those nuggets are so helpful and insightful, and I really appreciate when you share them. And that's why I thought it would be really important to bring that aspect of them to the show. Give us a little nugget for the week. I'd be curious if you guys want to share. You could even call our Whisper Wednesdays voicemail if you wanted to do that.
What if they wanted to like recommend something to be a sort of a nugget of wisdom? What's their experience?
Right. That too. So if you guys ever wanted to call the voicemail for that reason, 801-686-8214 is the number. But just share how a nugget that has been shared with you since Natalie's been sharing has molded or directed your week or your experience or anything like that. We love to hear from you guys. We actually have a few voicemails piling up that we're going to get ready to share where you guys have called in.
It's
love
good.
it. I can't wait to start sharing some of these.
No, it's interactive.
It's going to be so good.
Mm-hmm.
What did the cards say?
What do the cards say?
Inner being.
Is it a green one?
It's a green one.
Oh, inner being.
So we got these new cards. We're going to have this fella on the show here in the new future, but he's been sharing these cards with us for 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
They're really amazing.
So I'm just holding them because I got the deck today that he finally published, and they feel so good. They're not tarot and they're not oracle.
Nope.
These are much different. I wouldn't even know. He calls them symbolic intuition cards.
He has
an awareness of the inner being.
He has a sort of scientific mind. So it's interesting because he's done a deck of cards that comes from that scientific brain
Yes.
of him,
Yes.
of his.
Yes.
I've had some very fascinating conversations with that man.
Yes. Speaking of science, our guest tonight is pretty scientific.
I know. You know, I do love a scientific brain. I do.
I know. I think that this show's going to be a conversation with Natalie and Mark.
Maybe so.
I'm going to sit back and be like,
it's like my realm.
What am I going to learn today from these two human beings?
Tell me more.
No, I think it will be so good, and I'm really excited to get to know him better.
Yeah. What's our pace? We're just a little bit different, but it's like, oh, what do we talk about now before he comes on?
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about, well, actually we had a conversation yesterday because Natalie and I meet every week for funsies. Outside of the show.
Yes. Twist my arm.
I know. It's a rough life. We were talking about readings and the predictions that we get in the readings. So like the tea leaves of life while being in the now. How readings influence us, how they direct us, how sometimes we'll put what we got in a reading on a shelf, and sometimes some people will like really take it as the gospel truth.
Right.
And we were just talking about the different types of readers and the delivery of the information that they give us. And it was a really interesting conversation. Take it over. I need a sip.
So one of the things that I know in my own personal readings with like psychic mediums or tarot is that time, but I had this one psychic medium that I would use from time to time, and she's reportedly said she would give accurate information, but not any particular idea about time. She wasn't very good at locking in when something would happen. And I did find that when I would have readings with her, I would feel like I didn't anticipate that something would be happening in the near future. And inevitably things happen, but it wasn't always in the near future. So time is this very fluid thing too.
Right.
And I would often think as I was listening to her that she would take this visual or auditory thing that she would experience within herself, put it into words, and then give the words to me. And then I would need to understand that the words were still in an interpretation of symbology.
Right. And it is her interpretation and
Right.
then your interpretation.
Right. So then it's like multiple layers of interpretation and really coming to what is the universal resonance or the universe.
I got assumption.
Oh,
That's
nice.
awesome.
The cards are already working.
Yes.
And that's a stop. That's
Yeah.
a red one that says, whoa, monitor the assumptions.
Yeah.
Yes. So then I do find that as you've got these readings and then you come into life, then you reading the tea leaves of your life, that concept, kind of when I said that was paying attention to what's happening in your life, because that's where the rubber's meeting the road.
Right.
Is in the walk of the everyday life. And a lot of times we can get caught up in the tarot deck or the other thing when it's what's happening in our life that is where it all plays out. So reading the tea leaves. In my own personal life, I wasn't always really good at listening to what my life was saying to me out loud. I'm like, oh, wait. Took a little while. What's that one?
Inner voice. You can't make this stuff up.
That's amazing. I'm gonna have to get my own deck.
Yeah. We'll be selling them at Vibes.
Oh yes. I know that place.
Vibesnow.com.
Vibes Now. I know that place. I love that place.
It's a good one.
So the reading the tea leaves of life. You're getting into your life, how it's unfolding.
Well, and it got brought up because excuse me. It got brought up because I had a reading. Oh, it was a long time ago. I haven't had a reading in forever because I don't really do readings anymore. But it was a gifted reading from a past guest, and I won't say who it was. But they had mentioned my end of life date approximately without asking me if I wanted to know.
You're like, do you want to know when
and
you're gonna die?
how I'm going to die? And I was like, I don't know if that, like, I want to know those things, even if, like, I don't even know if it's real, but I still don't want to know. I want to be in the moment now, here now.
Right.
And that's what brought up that conversation. But it is quite fascinating. If you're getting a reading by anyone, like, some readers are crazy spot on and some are not. And it's always up for interpretation no matter what.
It is.
Yeah. It's good.
It is. It's all fun.
It's fun to do.
I haven't
for entertainment purposes, if nothing
entertainment
else.
purposes only. Be careful because they can plant some things into your minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely have to be aware of that.
I've had some good ones and not good ones. I remember this one that I had. She actually read my palm and she said something's going to happen like when you're 54. And that has stuck with me going, well, I'm not 54 yet. But what happens when I turn that? Oh my goodness.
And what's that interesting?
I don't know.
Are things not happening that are interesting in your life now?
Life is very interesting.
Life is very interesting.
Yes, it is definitely having interesting things happening in my now.
Yeah. I love that, in your now.
In my now.
That is something that I believe we're both working on, is being in the present moment.
Yes.
And not trying to get too far ahead of ourselves.
No. I don't even like booking my calendar too far ahead of myself. I'm like, how do I know what's going to happen 2 weeks from now? Or 3 weeks from now?
The only thing I book out far are guests for our show, because we get booked up. Like last year when I came back to the show, because I took a few months off, like within 2 weeks, I was booked for the whole year. I was like, okay, that was quick. Then I had a waiting list for this year, and I'm just slowly piling them in. But that's the only thing that I really do too far in advance.
Yeah. And dentist appointments. They have to be too far in advance.
There's
it's
that.
The Monday.
There's that. All right, guys, we're going to take our first break of the show, which means after the first break, we're going to bring on our guest early because he's hanging out. So we're not going to make him wait. I like it when they show up early.
That's lovely. It's like
More
it's organic
time with our guests. So stay close, everyone. We'll get this party started.
Woohoo.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Are you looking to go on a faraway journey that is magical and mysterious, reaping on mystical legends? If so, then Mysterious Adventure Tours is perfect for you. Imagine a voyage to explore ancient mysteries of Ireland, haunted majesties of Scotland, or their chilling Birth of the Vampires in Romania. These small, esoteric getaways are limited and do fill fast. So, go to mysteriousadventuretours.com and book your trip soon.
Are we alone in the universe? The most important question facing humanity is on the verge of being settled once and for all. The Mutual UFO Network has been at the forefront of this journey for nearly 50 years. Our members worldwide are dedicated to the research, documentation, and awareness that will shape the future of humanity. Won't you join us?
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Hello, welcome back, Wanderers. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
I can't hear me either.
Are we back?
We're back. Oh, now I can hear me.
That's better. Unmute us.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings. We're hosted here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. Great station,
Great station.
by the way.
Yeah. Go get your membership.
Go get your membership. Go get your membership.
It's like, isn't that what we say? We just like bring that up.
If you do go over to kgradb.com and look at the shows, Soul Wanderings, there's actually some buttons you can choose to get some discounts for the show. It supports the show and the station, and we would love to have you join the family.
Yeah.
The fam. All right, y'all.
Here we go.
We're going to have some interesting conversation tonight with our guest, Mark Fior. I've been saying this in my head all day. Fiorentino. There we go. Mark is a self-taught metaphysician who worked in the field of high-tech industry, and he worked as an electronic technician at Harris Government Systems, working on killer satellite missile guidance system, and then at IBM as a computer programmer. And that's like a very tiny clip of his bio. There's
Let's
so much to Mark, and I'm really excited to get to know him better. Let's bring him on. Hi, Mark.
Hello, guys. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, good. I hope you're ready for us.
I really related to some of the stuff you've already been saying about time and the readings. I have a lot of experience in those areas as well.
fun.
Yeah, it sounds like from what little we know about you so far that you have a little bit of experience in a lot of things that is related to all of the topics we talk about here on Soul Wanderings.
Yes, definitely. I'm very much into psychics, mediums, because they played a big role in my life from early on that kind of guided me in the direction over the years. Although for a great period of time, I just did the regular thing, going to work, living a very small, simple life, and I was enjoying it for the most part. There was a lot of drudgery work in there over the years, but that was part of the plan. No skipping ahead, and I didn't
There's
do
no
that.
spiritual bypass. I've heard that. No skipping ahead.
No, so that was part of my plan, as it is for everybody else. So I went along with that, and then things got interesting when I retired. Definitely, they got very interesting.
Well, it sounds like things got interesting because since you were a small child,
Mm-hmm.
because you started questioning all kinds of things just at the young age of, what is it, 10 that I read? You
That's
started
right.
like really
Yeah.
building an interest in Albert Einstein and his research and studies and physics and all kinds of things.
Yeah, it was strange because my parents were always trying to figure me out. I was kind of a mystery. My other two brothers were normal guys. They were big sports jocks and everything. And I like sports, but I wasn't, really into that. When I found out that I was born on the same day as Albert Einstein, because I was asked to find a saint on my birthday and I couldn't find one in the calendar.
March 14th.
March 14th. That's right.
That's
I
how
know
you
that because it's the day after my birthday and it's on the
That's right.
calendar.
That's right. And that's how I got into it. Was that an accident? Absolutely not.
No.
Synchronicities, right?
Yeah, that's when it started. I didn't realize it then, but that was obviously part of the plan to steer me into this direction and interest in physics and science. And what I learned over the years, my real gift was the ability to see patterns in nature and to see things as they really are. And that's what drove me to write the book when I retired, because I had all these ideas and I said, this makes sense. This has got to be right. Let me do more research. I'll write a book. Spent 4 years writing that book. And when it was over, I'm saying, God, this really seems like it's right. And there is a whole theory in there now. So it's been an interesting journey, and it's not over yet. That's what they keep telling me. There's more
I
to
don't know
come.
that there's ever any over.
Yeah, that's right.
It
There
just goes
isn't.
on and
There
on.
isn't. We don't
Rinse and
die.
repeat.
Yeah. So that's I got into it very young, and then I got into UFOs and I was very interested in that because I saw a relationship there. Unified field theory means you understand how the universe works right down to the core, the foundation of reality. So anybody that knows about anti-gravity and that force obviously understands the unified field theory. So I combined the two and tried to learn about both of them. And so that took me into the, reading about UFOs and UFO books and that kind of stuff as well. And then continued interest. I was born with an interest for electronics. And that plays a big role even today. It still does, as I do experimentations in the lab for anti-gravity and power generating devices, as well as something I've just gotten into right now. You'll be very interested in knowing. I met a person named Les Durant on the internet. He did something I dreamed about for years. And I thought, this guy, he's photographing the sky, just hoping to see UFOs come in. And I always thought to myself for years, I'll bet you they're up there all the time while we're at work, while we're sleeping. These things are zipping by back and forth because there's probably thousands of excursions going on in the upper atmosphere. And I never did anything until I met Les. He showed me what he was doing. He gave me ideas. I gave him some ideas, and I started doing it. And sure enough, just like I imagined, we're finding UFO images every few hours or going across just a random spot I picked in the sky. And we're gathering them up, and it's fascinating work. It's going to prove that theory that I had for a long time and hopefully awaken people. I call it Project Skyhook, and that basically I'm fishing for UFO sightings and I'm getting buckets full just over my house, but they're way up there. Well, they got to be above 50,000 feet. And fortunately, I got a really good camera with very high resolution, and it's capturing what I can't see with my eyes. And I'm streaming it live. It's a channel. When I do it, most of the time I stream it live as well.
Are you streaming it live on YouTube?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I just started doing it just a week or so ago.
What did you say Les's last name was?
Durant, Durrant. So we're working together. He likes to go over the videos that I give him, and he has some of his own as well. Mm-hmm. And I like to pick out the ones that I'm going to show on my website, ones that demonstrate that this really most likely is a UFO, not an airplane, not a satellite, not something explainable terrestrially speaking. It's something out from the other world, and that requires that these things either change direction rapidly, stop, because airplanes don't just stop at 50,000 feet and move in another direction. If you see that happen, folks, that's a UFO. That's not a helicopter. No, they don't go up 50,000 feet or more. and so, as it turns out, this is happening, and I'm going to photograph other areas too and see how common this is. It's part of the awakening of this world. They have to become aware that this is really what's going on. There's a bigger picture than who's going to win on American Idol or who's going to win the Super Bowl. There's more to this universe than that.
Yeah, those are just distractions.
Yeah.
It'll blow people's minds, Mark.
Yeah, I guess.
If we were going to take the veil away of like what we see as humans, like if you look up in the sky, say we take that veil away, how many UFOs do you feel like we would see if that smoke and mirror show wasn't there?
Well, I have to do a little bit of math. I have to look at how much of the sky I'm looking at, and with the camera, the frame, how much it's getting. I have to calculate that. And then I'm going to have to find somebody that knows probabilities.
See, he's getting really scientific.
Yeah,
you get it. Well, you asked a very specific question, and I've already, thought of that. Les and I have thought of that, and we want to be able to say, if we see this much and this amount of space in the sky, and if we sample a few other areas and we see some there too, then we can extrapolate and say, "Ooh, that means that across the world, just about anywhere you go, you're going to have a chance within, let's say 4 hours of seeing so many UFOs fly over if you have the right equipment." Because most of the time they don't go low; they go lower at night. So and can be visible with the naked eye very clearly on some nights. But for the most part, they're smart. They stay up way up high where they can't be shot down, because the U.S. likes to try and shoot them down and then take the technology, reverse engineer it. So they stay up high and they move very fast. And you could see them in the images we got so far. They're shooting across the sky like this. That's over well over 1,000 miles an hour. It's maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, or even more. And I've seen one we got, and I haven't put it out yet, but it's going across the sky like this, and it goes, it does a U-turn. Airplanes don't do U-turns, tight U-turns in the middle of the sky. They go in predictable straight lines across the sky. You don't see jets or doing this, and certainly not in groups of 2 and 3, which I also have. So something's going on here, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
Determined.
Yes. So
I love how so many people they're the same mind frame that you are. They're wanting to know the answers, right? They want to know how this is happening, why it's being kept from us, all the science that goes behind it, how they can move so fast, how they can be here in one moment, and how not in the next. And those questions and answers are becoming more available because there are more people talking about it. It's not classified like it used to be. It's more out in the open.
Well, certain parts are. They're still locked down
Right,
on anti-gravity technology, and I'm writing a paper on that now because I believe I have thoroughly worked out that problem with the math. And it's funny, I'm not even particularly good at math, but I get these ideas and I realize something very important about mathematics that staggered me when I realized. I says, oh, this is not so hard to figure out. I can do this. And I did it. I just did a little research and I found the equation that's going to allow me to predict how much energy it takes to create an anti-gravity field using magnetics. And the trick about math is this. If you look at an equation, there's something right in the middle. It's called the equal sign. All math is saying is the stuff on this side equals the stuff on the other side. That's all it is. It's a matter of systems, units of measurement, saying these units mass equals these units energy and in motion. And so you've got this, and it's just a simple interplay of these two, units, and you want to cross them over so you get the right answer. And when I realized that, I says, holy cow, I can find this equation that I need, finish writing this paper. And, I'm a little afraid to write it because people who work in the area of anti-gravity, they usually get harassed if they get it right. It's just, there's so much corruption in the world. It's a bit scary. And it's true in medicine too.
Yeah.
You find a cure for cancer and you're in for a world of hurt. Ask Brzezinski on that. He's on the YouTube right now. A video of him who found that in the early 90s a cure for cancer, and our government did nothing but attack him from the moment he appeared.
Yeah, they don't want us to be healthy.
Medical people, the big pharma, whatever, they hate cures. Because when you cure something, you cure heart disease. And by the way, there is a way that I found that I used on it to I didn't make the discovery. I just, my brother said, look at these guys talking on the internet. They're talking about kidney stones. And I says, I got bad kidney stones. So this one guy says, I started taking magnesium and my kidney stones went away. Then I started looking up research. And there's all these guys, all these doctors that did research on magnesium gets rid of kidney stones. And then they went into how and why and everything. And I says, I'm going to start taking magnesium because I've had 16 kidney stones.
Oh, my.
Wow.
And they hurt. And the doctors gave me no help.
Magnesium is a powerful mineral. It can help with so many things.
Exactly. And oh, by the way, heart disease is another one. So, but in medicine, you look it up. I'll ask my heart doctor, hey, how about magnesium? Well, I don't know if I like those studies.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe what they say. Oh, well, that's interesting because they had remarkable results on the prevention of heart disease in animals like mice and rats and some other animals they tested on, and even humans. Just taking it because they don't want to talk about what is. You'll notice in science, and particularly in medicine, they don't want to talk about the real cause of a disease.
No.
The only reason I was able to work it out is because when I worked at the hospital and I worked in the department, I was putting in computers all over the place for people. I'd go in the radiology department and I'd hear them say the words, there's calcifications on these arteries, on these calcifications. And that just stuck in my head. Why is that so interesting? Well, it turns out the calcifications are calcium, and that's causing the hardening of the arteries. And they make these crystals, and these crystals are very sharp, and they carve away inside of your arteries and veins, making them bleed. You have a blood clot, and then cholesterol forms around it to fix the bleeding. And next thing you know, you've got heart disease. So the root cause is too much calcium in the blood. And you got to figure out a way to get rid of it. But you never hear your heart doctor talk about that. You say, hey, take Lipitor.
That's not where the money is, Mark.
That's right. They want you to stay sick, but they'll never admit that.
I think there's also another thing, which is you're an outsider in the medical environment. You haven't run through the education system. There's also missing pieces as far as like putting all the pieces together in a particular way if you have learned it this other way. So a lot of times through the schooling, they don't actually get that more holistic or, that point of view because they're learning what they're being instructed in school. And sometimes an outsider can put together things differently.
Yeah.
The way that you studied nature, I'm sure, has helped you go, I correlate this and that and the other thing. And it's like, calcification that's in other forms is going to be the same thing inside of our body.
You're exactly right. The reason why I've had so much, in my opinion, success in physics was I wasn't being trained to believe that quantum mechanics is the right modeling system to use to understand reality. Like Feynman said, if you're going to make a reality model, you better use quantum mechanics. And nothing could be further from the truth.
So what do you use instead of quantum mechanics?
I followed Einstein's path. He always had it right. But there was one oddity in what he did was geometrize physics. In other words, everything is a result of some sort of physical geometry moving through space, and that space therefore had to be something real. But he never believed that, according to anything that I could read about, but he used the math that said that. And so it confounded me a little bit, and I think a lot of other people, because it kind of opened the door for quantum mechanics belief systems where everything is random, nothing, makes sense, and it's really hard to come up with a sensible explanation using quantum mechanics. But I said no, and I said, following Einstein's path, he used to believe in something called the ether. Are you guys familiar with that at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, it was very popular with scientists all the way up to the year 1905. And in that year, physics broke because of an experiment. The Michelson-Morley experiment was designed to detect the ether and then prove once and for all that space, outer space, is a real physical object. And they were going to attempt to measure Earth's movement within it. But unfortunately, they designed an experiment that had a flaw that it took me years to realize because I couldn't explain it like Einstein. It stunned him when that experiment came back and said there was no ether wind. We expected to see an ether wind. In other words, the speed of light was going to change. It's going at right angles, and mirrors are bending it, and they were timing it going one way and back and the other way and back. And the prediction was there's an ether wind in one direction or another. It's going to change the timing, and there would be a little offset in the interferometer. The sine waves wouldn't match up, and you could see there was a difference in velocity, but that never happened. Light was always moving at the same rate of speed. So then they gave up on the ether. And
so just because they didn't notice the ether wind is when they just threw that out?
Yeah. What they assumed, if there's no ether wind, there's no ether.
Oh.
And what they didn't realize is the device they were using to measure the Earth's speed in space, or anything for that matter, always travels at the same rate of speed. So they took an object that's is not affected by the motion in the ether itself. In other words, an emitting object like a flashlight, if you're holding it on a train and you shine the light forward, the speed of light is still the same. It's not plus the train speed. And if you stand the other way and shine it back, it's still the speed of light. It's not minus the speed of the train. And so that experiment could never work, because the speed of light is internal. It's not, if I throw a fastball, the speed of the fastball is determined by external motion of my arm and hand throwing it. And so you can time it, and it varies in speed.
Mm-hmm.
But something that generates its own velocity inside of itself, it's not affected by, the speed of other things that it's emitted from, or it's catching to. All that changes is the compression or the elongation of the wavelength, and that's Doppler radar. So that proves out. But the actual motion of that particle is always the same. So that experiment could have never detected the ether wind. But nobody ever figured that out back then. They just said there's no ether wind, therefore there's no ether. And then physics shot into another direction entirely, basically toward quantum mechanics. But if you're trained in physics, they'll teach you that was truth.
Yes, even though it's a theory.
Yeah, they'll teach you that's the facts, and you better get on board, and you need to stop thinking like this.
And then there's all this cultural kind of shift that says, no, you can't wander too far from the herd. This is, because it doesn't work for schooling, and you have your whole structure of your curriculum based around the concept, and then you create from that, and there's a lot of money in textbooks, and so there's all that.
And there's a lot of money in physicists slinging particles at each other and finding new ones and getting a Nobel Prize for finding yet another particle that doesn't mean anything. It's just particles colliding, and then you have results from these collisions. Matter, most of the matter we have stays stable for billions of years, neutrons, protons, unless you take the neutron by itself and you put it into space by itself. It decays in 15 minutes. And that's another mystery that I explored. Since my theory is an intelligent design theory, I said, that's not an accident. God designed that neutron particle to do that. Now I'm going to figure out why. And so what I did is I say, what happens to it when it's by itself out in outer space? It breaks into a proton and an electron. What good is that? Well, that just so happens that's hydrogen. So that told me, well, if the creator needed to fuel up a universe, we need hydrogen, and a lot of it. So in the beginning, that thing that blew up in the Big Bang must have been made of solid neutrons, neutronium.
Mm.
And so the mystery now makes sense, as that in a particular instance, when an explosion with all neutrons, as neutron matter, neutronium comes apart from the Big Bang, this is the fuel that's going to make the new universe, along with neutronium spheres This is an explosion, so it's got all these parts and pieces coming out of it, and not all neutron gas, but spheres of different sizes. And these spheres gather the hydrogen, which forms in 15 minutes or less, and the next universe begins. And so these spheres are gathering the hydrogen, it's compressing it around the sphere, it's spinning, so then the atmosphere spins around these stars, and you get stars and planets. A whole system builds up just because the creator designed a system where he could build everything from a very basic, simple beginning into this whole new universe. And this is happening all over the place because space is infinite. You think there's just one universe?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
Oh no, it gets really big. When you start to look at the big picture, it gets dizzying.
Well, that's from like standing here where I'm not even studying the things that you are, just imagining. I know I can't even reach that level of imagination where you're actually diving in deeper into these theories. I can't even imagine what you're seeing or coming up with. It's just unbelievable to me. It's so cool.
There's a lot of good ideas in my book, Master of Reality.
Now we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about your book, but I'm going to cut you off right here so we can take a break, top of the hour. The next break is commercial free, Mark. So we'll get an entire hour to continue wandering with you.
Okay.
So many good things. Loving your big, beautiful brain. We'll be right back.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Are you looking to go on a faraway journey that is magical and mysterious, reaping on mystical legends? If so, then Mysterious Adventure Tours is perfect for you. Imagine a voyage to explore ancient mysteries of Ireland, haunted majesties of Scotland, or their chilling Birth of the Vampires in Romania. These small, esoteric getaways are limited and do fill fast. So, go to MysteriousAdventureTours.com and book your trip soon.
Are we alone in the universe? The most important question facing humanity is on the verge of being settled once and for all. The Mutual UFO Network has been at the forefront of this journey for nearly 50 years. Our members worldwide are dedicated to the research, documentation, and awareness that will shape the future of humanity. Won't you join us?
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected. Only at KGRADB.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings. We are hanging out with our guest tonight, Mark Fiorentino, and he is the author of Master of Reality. Yeah, I don't have the sound effects, but it's quite a title to a book, Mark.
Yeah, I thought it was appropriate. The book cover, there it is. The book cover was inspired by something I saw when I was a teenager. Many people remember the Moody Blues. Every good boy deserves favor. Look at that album cover, and you'll see where I got the idea for this album cover, which I described to a very talented lady in Spain who did this album cover for me. I described everything in it, and she did it exactly like I asked.
It was kind of like an album cover.
Yeah.
The music's all in there in words, huh?
Yeah. Well, words are...
It is a beautiful cover to a book.
Yes.
It definitely grasped my attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it was designed to do.
Snag that. So I have a question, Mark. So you were talking about the neutronium.
Neutronium.
The neutronium.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot of things about the neutrino field. Is that the same thing or different?
No, it's different.
Different.
A neutrino, at least according to my theory, is very much like a photon. It's a neutrally charged particle. It's kind of a leftover. I call it a messenger particle that comes out in some interactions in particle physics. But a neutron is a primary glue particle that's along with the proton and makes up all the elements in the periodic table, with combinations of protons and neutrons in the core of each atom of each element type. You got one proton, one neutron, then two protons and two, and so forth, and you build up all the elements. Well, the neutrons help everything kind of stick together, basically, allow them to gather in a very tight little area and adhere. But the neutron in that particular instance will last billions of years, as long as it's near other neutrons or protons. And that's part of the intelligent design. It has to be that way, so we have a stable reality, and so we have a reality that can form intelligent life and live and experience all the things that you're talking about spiritually. In this realm, we are limited, and that is by design. We are put into these avatars to have experiences. So what is that all about?
That is consciousness. That's what I think it is.
It's a gift. It's a gift from God. Our lives are a gift from God. And then there's a turnabout. What we do with those lives is our gift back to God. So that's what's really happening here. That's the bigger picture. That's the real picture. That's the picture we're basically unaware of. Most of us, the 90%, the people that watch this show, and you guys, you're above that. You already figured out that there's a bigger picture, and are trying to work through, how to deal with being in the material level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important work. That's light work. And the Father, God, is working through all of you, all of us, to avert something big and bad if we can't get it right. Because there's basically a battle between good and evil going on here. And if we can awaken the people enough, we can avert something, a reset of some sort. The civilizations of the past have not ever achieved that.
Mhm.
They keep getting more and more corrupt until they collapse. They collapse in their own weight from
Okay,
their
now
own
we're
weight.
on a topic I'm like totally into.
She's
Let's
like, this
do
I can
this.
understand.
Not that I'm not into the others, they're so scientific and my brain isn't. I'm not the scientific brain. I love it and I admire it and it's so good. I mean, I went to college for a lot of things that science was needed. And it was a struggle, but because I love it so much, but some of us are just blessed with that comprehension, and that was not me. However, moving on. Talking about the good and evil and God, our creator, and this mass awakening. I'm just curious, do you believe God is a being like us, like a soul, like a being, or do you feel like it's a God consciousness, like an energetic?
Well, God is eternal. He's infinite. And I say he, I mean, is more than a boy or a girl. I mean,
Right.
uh, I read many NDEs. I understand that you've had an NDE.
Mhm.
And I listen to what they say, because when you have an NDE, you're basically talking to the creator. And it's always been my policy. If you want to know how something works, go to the creator of that something, and ask them. It's what I used to do at IBM, troubleshooting that way. I'd go to the guy or the person, whoever built that electronic card assembly or that component, say, how does this work? How's it built? We got a problem here. They tell me everything. Then I'd start to look for a sensible pattern as to why there's a failure. In the case of NDEs, I deliberately searched for things concerning science from NDE people, like Lynn Claire Dennis in the pattern. I used that because I felt that what she saw in the hereafter from God, he was showing her how mass is created by energy and motion. And so I was deliberately looking for a dynamical geometry, and I found it by saying, hey, I'm going to go to the source. Now, I can't die and do it myself, but other people had. And if he wants to pass the message, maybe he did. I'll start looking. And that's exactly what I did. And I did find it. I found the dynamical geometry. It's called the trefoil knot. And that is being executed inside of the neutron and the proton. So that comes from a person who had a near-death experience, who then, I'm good at seeing patterns and understanding the meaning of these things, put two and two together to say quarks inside of the neutron and proton are moving in that pattern that she saw when he told her, I am the energy that sources mass. He says it to her. She comes back and she's telling everybody she saw this. What does it mean? She's asking what it means. I told her what she I said, I think it's no coincidence. It's a strange coincidence that I'm looking for a three, because I know there's three quarks inside of the neutron and the proton. So the dynamical geometry had to be composed of something of three. And that's what she saw. So I knew I was on the right track. Everything fit into place. Everything makes sense. And putting that together, we were able to work on that. I worked on a paper, which is now on ResearchGate, that explains how gravity and mass are created by the accelerated motion of particles, unbalanced charges. So that's something that was solved using spiritual things. People having an experience that is spiritual. And the big point I want to make on this is this: science comes from the spiritual realm. So God is, in my opinion, a consciousness, and basically life. All of this, what we see, is been described by people who have had NDEs, and that God is relayed to them very important information, which I'm now going to give to you. and you could take this to the bank. This is
Do
from
I'm ready to
Father Rick.
cash in. Ding, ding.
Yeah, this is from Father Rick Wendell, a Catholic priest. He wasn't a Catholic priest until after he had his near-death experience and following miracle experiences after that. But while he was there, God tells him this: there is one commandment for man, love one another. Stop for a minute. Think about that. If you follow that command, all the other 10 commandments are followed. But you'll never do anything wrong to hurt, harm, steal, or in any way hurt anybody if you love them. It covers everything. And if mankind could learn that, it would be the biggest thing the biggest success, the biggest awakening. Just simply love one another.
Yeah.
And then he goes on and he says, all of this three-dimensional world is within God. There is nothing outside of God. Everything within this physical universe has to correspond to laws, and God set those laws. They are immutable as God is immutable. None of this, what we see and experience, is an accident. It is intentioned by God. And I use that word intention a lot in my book. The power of intention is how all of this has come about. And he also tells about time. Time does not really exist. This time is something that I've pondered a lot, especially seeing into the future. It really boggles my mind. God is outside of time. We have a perception of time in this physical world. That perception changes according to our circumstances. That's just what we experience. Time goes fast when you're having fun. Time is hell. It's awful long. If you got your hand on a soldering iron, you're holding it, it's excruciating. Time drags on forever until that pain is gone. So it's all true. And there's other NDE people have said the same thing, that we're inside the mind of God. Everything is God. Space, the particles. He's aware of all of this. Another NDEer said, when I was there, I was reconnected, because they're all connected on the other side, as far as I understand, to that Godhead, that God consciousness. That thing is what created the material realm. This universe, all the other universes, all the other dimensions, all the timelines that we're in, everything. There is nothing outside of God. So what is God? God is everything. God is eternal. He was always here. He'll always be here. And fortunately for us, we're created to be eternal. So that's good news. Even though we may physically die, our spirit and our soul never die. They just goes on, rebirth, and not just here, but other planets too. So that's what I think God is. We're in like a dream, and we're individual. How would I say? We are individual strands of a tapestry, and when our life comes back, that thread is woven into the tapestry and enters into the book of life, and it's part of everything. We're all a part of each other and everything. So that's my definition, I believe, of what God is and what's going on here and what we are, in fact.
Thank you for answering that. I love to hear what other people feel about our creator. Everyone has such a different point of view, but that one was spectacular and beautiful. And I concur.
Thank you. Yeah. If we could just get to that and see that bigger picture. I hate to see that so many scientists are atheists, and not because they're bad people or anything. It's because it's old thinking. It's structured old paradigm thinking that's locking them in. And what's the words? it's a tragic occurrence that scientists can be blinded by their own presuppositions. And that's what's holding science back. It's what's holding the world back.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like with today's day and age, how there is this huge battle going on? I can't say now more than ever because I don't know the past, but what we know now going on, the battle against good and evil. Do you feel like more people are in awareness of God now, or do you think it's becoming less and less that they believe?
I know I've given that a lot of thought, actually, because I'm as concerned about it as you are. I worry about my kids and my grandkids.
Mhm.
I'm not in my home today. I'm over in Tampa, so I don't have all my other stuff that I usually can show. But they're going to have a baby tomorrow. We're going to have a grandson tomorrow.
Yay!
Oh,
Hey.
cool.
So, I worry about that. I worry about it for my children, and that what the bigger picture, what's going on here. I mean, there's a lot of NDEers coming back saying there's something big and bad coming if we don't get this worked out.
It's very
Yeah.
true.
A lot of mediums, psychic mediums, are also saying that. What's confusing is they keep giving different scenarios, and I believe they're sincere. And at the time of their NDE, the most likely future was probably what they saw. But after they see it and come back and talk about it, it seems to affect the future. And then a new bad future comes. But as I've been told by, mediums, and from what I've gathered from NDE reports, is that there's some sort of a big battle that's not just here, it's on the other side and spilling into this world. And so what God is trying to do is implement a plan through us, the ones that want to widen and awaken the point of view and perspective of the people of this world, to elevate, to prevent a reset. So that's what I think is going on. And I hope what I can do to help prevent that helps. And I hope you guys keep doing what you're doing. All these paranormal shows and things like that. All this spiritual awakening and prayer is probably going to be the only thing that save us. Otherwise, my personal prediction, look to the core of the earth for a warning. This planet is not stable. We think it is because we live on it and we see earthquakes are very common. Volcanoes are very common. But you know what? They're not very common on other planets like Mars and Venus and Saturn. There's a little tectonic activity, but not to the magnitude that we have here. Our core is not stable. It's generating too much heat. And then we get into my theory about what causes planets, which I believe there's a neutronium sphere, maybe the size of a basketball, maybe the size of 100 meters or so, that's spinning rapidly, that created this planet. And if it's too big for the size of the planet, the core is unstable because the temperatures and the pressures down there are too great. And so it's pushing up. And just like a supernova, sometimes what happens there is the pressure from all the fusion reaction is so intense, it blows away the atmosphere, and all you see is the neutron star or a black hole, which was there originally. That's in my theory. So we have the same problem here. So my personal prediction is great upheaval, volcanic activity, something like that, if we don't get our act together. Because the spiritual realm ultimately feeds back and controls the physical. Science comes from the spiritual realm. It's the spiritual realm is the master of science and of physics and of material things, objects, everything. Because you guys know that, right?
We do. The the science seems to be the mind, but the mind isn't the spirit. The mind is a limited like a limited tool to perceive, but it doesn't perceive the spirit quite the same. So I'm wondering and curious about, okay, so when you talk about these big things, I know in my own personal action with people, it can be very overwhelming. So then if we just were to say, okay, if you were to give a more simple message that wasn't about all the theories and everything, about one individual, because it's what each of us as individuals do that creates the mass, just like you're talking about particles that work together to create mass. So what does the one individual do in their everyday life that assists this light and dark experience that we're going through now?
I gave it one commandment for man: love one another.
Sometimes we have to bring it back around and say, that's it.
Prayer.
That's still it.
Prayer and doing that. If you put out, and you guys, I'm sure have said this many times, you put out positive energy, that gets things moving in the right direction. That makes people, everybody, not just yourself, but the people around you happy and feel good. And that's got to be the goal. The goal has to shift from, I want to make more money than you. I want to beat you at that. I want to stop competing against. It's okay to make money. It's fine. But when it becomes the singular most important thing above all else, then it's not healthy. It's not right. We got to start supporting each other. We got to start loving each other. We got to listen to each other. We got to have patience and compassion. It's kind of like what Jesus, he set the example for us to follow. That was no accident. As I understand, Jesus didn't just come to this planet. He's been to every planet, everywhere. And it doesn't come in the Jesus avatar, right? It's in the avatar of the group of that planet, whatever they look like, whether if they look like octopuses or rabbits or whatever. But that's his job. He's like number 2 in command, from planet to planet, bringing this message so that civilization can rise, because planet Earth is like, we're like the Wild West of the universe.
We're a prison planet.
Everybody's shooting and killing each other and, breaking every kind of law, drinking and you name it. We're doing it wrong. We're out of control. We're wild.
They're a little wild. Feral planet.
Yeah, yes. And we, I'm sure a lot of other civilizations have went through the same thing, and some of them made it and maybe some of them didn't. We're never going to know about the ones that didn't. But the ones that did make it and are visiting here obviously got over the wildness and the over emotions and the bad behaviors, and realized you got to work together, be as one. And we have free will here, and that's vitally important for our experience. And that makes all this choice, all these choices, good or bad, possible, which then leads to good acts and evil acts. And it's up to us to make better choices. So for an individual, love one another and make good choices.
It's a beautiful little message.
It is a beautiful message. And I think about how easy it is for me in my life right now. But there were times in my life before my ND that I even believed in a creator, or that I even believed that love was a vibration, let alone the answer. And so there are so many people out there in the world who don't have that comprehension or understanding. And they're not necessarily bad people, but they're not living in that light, if you will. And by us showing up and being an example, that's wonderful and all, but it's not always the way for them to be schooled, if you will. I'm not sure.
Or awakened, or coming to their own awareness. I'm trying to stay away from
awakened, because
from that one.
Just because they're not where we would be doesn't mean they're not
Was it right? It's all well, you even said earlier, Mark, that it's all has an order. Like the universe
Of
really
course.
does have an order. And while we may call it chaotic or disordered, it still does have an order though to it.
Yes, there are
And
no
so
accidents.
there's no accidents, even when we're going back and forth and we think, it's a versus sort of a thing. The one thing that I in my personal experience and the work that I do is the density or the heaviness if we're dealing with like frequencies and exactly how to lighten up. So, where before in your life it was probably much more dense
Oh yeah,
than the frequency that you're carrying now, which is
yeah.
lighter
I didn't
but
have the
not as
understanding.
no.
And what I'm saying is there are people who are in that place. They don't have that
No.
understanding.
Yeah.
Yet here we are in this battle where we need to raise the vibration. But how do we get those who don't understand that to understand that concept so we can save
So
ourselves?
right. And I still, coming back to this concept of love one another, those of us that are
It's
in
so easy to say.
right, but that's when we understand the frequency thing, then our challenge, is to love them too. And
Of course.
where we say, well, we're in this war of good and evil, but it's still our job to love that too, because it is all one, which is
Right.
really quite a profound thing.
Well, yeah, I agree what you guys are saying, and the trick is the people that are still not waking up. They're still very much into the material world, which is powerful. As soon as you're born into the body, it's still hard for me to imagine that there's a spiritual realm. And I get contacted by my guardian angels sometimes at night. I just feel this energy and I'm wondering if anybody else has had this experience where you're just tingling all over and you can feel something going in you, and it's just they're there to remind me that they're here. They're still with me. They've always been with me, as they are with everyone. Their own personal. Everybody has a guardian angel, and they want to work with you. So the trick is getting people to really believe in the afterlife, a God, and spiritual realm, and then start asking for help and waking up. And once they lift up, and then there's a possibility for restoration and a further awakening, so that they can have better lives and avert disaster. But it's hard for an individual who doesn't believe in the afterlife, doesn't believe in God. How are you going to say, hey, love one another? I says, well, why should I? There's no afterlife. There's nobody watching me. There's no, you're here. You do what you can do to enjoy life. And when it's over, you just go to oblivion and that's it. And that's hard and there's some people I know that are like that, and I still like them, and we have interesting conversations like this, but they're damn sure there is no God. And Jesus is, why are we even talking about him? And I'm thinking, it's going to be tough nut to crack here, because the only way to change that person's mind is have a near-death experience. When you experience it yourself.
Right. Or I do find that there are people that have that perspective, but they're also changed when so I know some people within my realm, I do a lot of work with grief, and when they have a loved one die, then that actually changes their perspective on things. Then they start contemplating the other realm, because it's not a near-death experience, but it's being near death. That not their own dying, but to be when someone died, which gives them the understanding that there's, okay, whoa. Now I'm thinking of one particular man whose son died. And then when his son died, he's like, okay, this does no longer make sense. this just going into oblivion. I can't imagine my son be going into oblivion. And then it just really rattled his world, and that no longer holds water. It's really fascinating how nature or the materium world actually, as it manifests itself, it shakes people's concept that there's nothing, because there never is just nothing. Material doesn't, or matter just doesn't end, right?
Well, yeah, one of the big problems with quantum mechanics and science in general is this belief that something comes from nothing. It's physically, virtually impossible. Something had to have existed before. We have to have existed before to come here. Something had to have created this. Nothingness can't create anything from. Now, we may not understand. Where it really gets hairy to think about is, what is God composed of? He's always been here. He seems to be spiritual. So he just seems to be composed of nothing but consciousness. And somehow consciousness can create reality. And this is me speculating here. I'm not saying that is the way it is. I'm just saying at this point, my thinking is that that's how things are coming about, but there's still a something making the something else. It just didn't, God just didn't pop in from nowhere. He was always here. How that happens, I don't know. But when, in a lot of NDE cases, when God greets the person, he says this, I am.
Yeah. Oh.
Now think about that. What is he really saying? He's saying, I exist. That's the answer.
Just like that. God, why is it so? It's not that complicated. I am.
I am.
But it's got this and that. He's like, no, really. 2 words. That's it. I am.
Yeah. A lot of people have been greeted with that. I've noticed that as a pattern in some NDEs, is that they're coming to the light, and then he says, I am.
Has a quiet kind of energy piece about it when it's like
I didn't get to hear the last little bit because my headphones weren't
It was-
on my head, but
it was like,
it felt really good.
it was like really
energetically.
good. And so you'll have to like, oh, right. But God's saying, I am.
Yes. Okay. So I grasped the concept of what was being said, but my NDE happened 11 years ago tomorrow. Tomorrow's 11-year
my
date.
Gosh.
And
it's like another birthday tomorrow.
Wow.
It really is. It really is. And I'll tell you the biggest takeaway from my NDE. It happened no one has an NDE that's not traumatic, right?
Right.
But it was very traumatic. And with a specific person that had done me harm. And I was in this moment of time saying, I can't go back to this situation for all these reasons that I said at the time. But what they shared with me is a big message on forgiveness. Like I said, I can't do this because he did this and this happened to me and this happened to me and he. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is your answer. Forgiveness is a vibration of love. Love is the answer. And that was the biggest takeaway I got from it when I came back. Forgive him, for he does not know what he does. Just like the verse goes, forgive him, for he does not know what he does. And I didn't know that was at the time. That was a message in the book at the time.
Jesus says that on the cross.
Right. Exactly. Yes. And
Forgive
see, that
them,
wasn't.
for they know not what they do.
Yes. There you go. That's the exact quote. That's not how it was said to me directly, but that was the gist of the message. And I didn't understand it at the time until I was back in my body, because I felt this overwhelming amount of peace and almost an automatic forgiveness towards the person who had put me in that position. And so it was really easy right away, so naturally, and I'm not sure how even to this day that it is so naturally after such a traumatic experience to love this person, to forgive this person automatically, but it has changed everything in my life. Like I like to hold on to a grudge and to not forgive people is not even in, like, I automatically forgive.
That's good. I've
And
had a lot of trouble with that myself, so
Have forgiveness.
I'm learning. Yeah, yeah.
it's an
Rough
amazing
spots in my
lesson,
life.
but you
Yeah.
can't deny like that kind of message and that type of experience and not take it literal.
Hmm.
This is what we're meant to do for one another. We're meant to love and forgive, and that's all in the same end of the vibration spectrum. So when it comes to anything that has to do with any negative experience, you love them anyway.
Well, I mean, they're in those words that says they don't know what they do. It's like
Right.
this negative experience. So you're holding a grudge against something that is ignorant of what your experience is. And in many ways, you're ignorant of their experience. And that's, I
Mhm.
think that's
Exactly.
definitely a big part because we're in these bodies and it implies a separation when there are none.
Mhm.
There's no separation, even though we have individual bodies.
Mhm.
And really coming to that understanding that we are one thread in a tapestry, or we're one eye or leg or toe or finger of God. And we are parts of a bigger body.
Mhm.
And
Right.
that's that understanding. So when we forgive, it's just like allowing that, the acceptance piece that says this is all, or even I like a lot of different things like the Hinduism and things where it's like, it's a drama. We're all playing a role.
Right. Right.
Like that person
You
had to do
say
that to put
yeah.
It's
you
true.
into the NDE experience so that you could be doing this. And it all is all in order. And
Mhm.
to be in resistance to it, I think that was why when we argue with reality, like this was wrong. And it's like, no, 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 no. We were
It
told not to
wasn't.
judge because we don't have that higher level view.
Right.
So how can we say if anything's right or wrong? We're not at that altitude perspective to just surrender to say, oh, and it happened.
Mhm.
It did happen.
And
It
it
wasn't
happened,
fun.
exactly, and it happened, and
Mhm.
that is part of my human experience, and that is part of their human experience, and it happened. You say things so much more eloquently than I do. I'm like, "And how do I explain this exact situation and put it into words?" It's so challenging. When anytime I've talked about it, I start like this. I start
Kind
like
of
stuttering, like I cannot find the words to explain the conversations that took place
sure.
because there weren't necessarily the words that we
No.
use.
Yeah.
And so working around that has been the biggest challenging in sharing my story. Like, how do I express this conversation in a way that you'll understand it? Because I still don't even understand it half the time, but I have not forgotten any of it.
I find that universal wisdom says, look, everything had to unfold the way that it unfolded.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to grasp the concept that you are grasping in
Mhm.
this very moment. So
Exactly.
to be in resistance to anything is not wise. It's really not wise.
Mhm.
So then when you release your shoulders and you kind of trust fall
Mhm.
into what has happened, then you just let go.
Mhm.
And then that forgiveness piece is just to be as before the thing happened.
Mhm.
So it's like forgive is to be as before, to give as before. So then before this trauma that you want to label it a trauma, you
Mhm.
just want to go back into that space of trusting. Simple concept, not easy concept.
Yeah, not easy to actually
Not
do.
easy. But it's like, I'm like, it's so it's saying I like using it's like, well, give that up to the higher realms. The HR department's got that handled. So it's going to be the higher realms
It
above my
is.
pay grade.
I'll surrender. Surrender.
Yes. And
Definitely.
there's so much freedom in the surrender saying, okay, that is not a thing that I need to control. And that pulls me out of the now. So I'm going to come back into the now so I can be tuned in so that I can follow the instructions that only come to me in this now, and this now, and this now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that, and it's definitely a challenge to try to get to that, and I'm still working on it. I could tell you that.
But the construct, your mental construct, that is a challenge. Doesn't that make it so?
Yeah, yeah, it's all of this physical realm is a challenge.
Mm,
It's a challenge just to just be happy and have gratitude. But the more I practice it, the easier it's getting. But it takes work. It takes thinking. It takes effort to say, be happy. Uh, be thankful for what you do have. This some wisdom that was given to me by a friend that I've never forgotten when I was going through my divorce and I was so miserable.
mm,
Um, he says, Mark, you have to stop looking at what you don't have and start
right.
looking at what you do have.
Mm-hmm.
And that really stuck with me. That was like profound. I just sat back and
What?
well, that makes sense.
Well, and gratitude is in that same vibration as
Yes.
forgiveness, as love.
Mm,
It's all in that same family, and when you're practicing all of those experiences in that vibration, your reality completely will shift.
yeah.
I
And
do find, yeah. Go ahead,
just,
Mark.
you just got to find the other thing is finding the right path, which is something that I've struggled with. I just kind of do a kind of the same thing where I'm surrendering
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and stop trying to go to a psychic and have them tell me what to do.
Right. It's like,
That is
It's
so
not
amazing
meant to
you
be that
decided
way.
to
no.
no, it's not. But we
Adventures never
decided to
happen
talk
that way.
about psychics, and then you've had these big psychic experiences. There
We're
are
just
no
tuned in.
accidents, Mark. And in fact, I was talking about those cards earlier. I don't know if you were listening, but I got 3 cards laid out by the guy who wrote the cards, and they were
Synchronicity.
synchronicity, nature, and new beginnings. And I was like, yeah, that can relate to anyone. But in the first part of the show where you're visiting with us, you brought up all 3 of those words. And so I was like, that's a reading for
Yeah.
Mark. That was Mark's
For the
reading
show, it's like,
for the show
wow.
tonight. So
No
now it
accidents.
resonates. And so we're talking about, tuning into that vibration of information that's given to us in different ways by readers, by cards. That information can be very beneficial for us, but if we um, do it cautiously, I would say. How would you put that, Natalie?
So I would say that if you put so much trust in, like, I've got to go to the psychic to find my way forward, or,
There are
it
people
doesn't,
who are that way. Yeah.
right. That's fine for a while, but really I find the benefit is like taking that and then learning to read your own life so that you can tune in and you can get the messages, because everyone can do what the psychics do in their own way, and you are your guru.
Yes.
You're the one that
You
has
are
the
your own.
internal, right, your own internal guidance system that's talking to you. But then you're like, I got to go talk to someone else because that person can know me better. And it's like, no, they'll give you messages that you're I'm sure, being blasted with before the psychic heard them, because they pick it up from somewhere. They're just reading your energy field anyway.
Well, here's something, and I've given this little topic what we're talking about a lot of thought, and I noticed a pattern from way back when the first time I went to a psychic, and that psychic got everything right in my future prediction, including one thing she didn't tell me directly, but told my friend, and he told me in the car afterwards that piece of information changed my life. But she didn't tell me directly. She told him after I had been in there, and he talked to her. And then he took that information, and when we were in the car driving away, he told me. So I couldn't ask her any questions about it. I couldn't drill because it was a big statement. But also what she's told me, I was a kid going on an adventure. Hey, let's go to Casadega and we'll have our fortunes told. It's just like 19 years old. And I got more than I bargained for that day. And I asked her, she got everything right. And I asked her about, will I, ever get married? And she said, yeah. And then I asked her, will we be happy? And she went from being very verbose and, giving me a lot of information. She just sat there silently. That's all she said. So I says, that wasn't really affirming here. She says nothing. She says yes. And then I get the feeling, are they telling her to tell me that? So that I don't worry about, because the reality was we got divorced. It took a while. I wasn't even going with anybody at the time. I met the woman a year later and fell in love, and we got married. And I didn't give that doubt. I had a second thought because, she did say yes. I mean, I'm just going to go with it. But she said, no, you're not going to be happy. Would I have married that first woman? Uh-oh. They can't say everything because they'll wreck the plan. And the plan was to marry that woman, have 2 kids. That I had to live that. So they had to kind of tell me a little fib there, and I'm not mad.
You're probably happy at times.
I was, at the very beginning. Oh yeah, for many of the years until later on. It took a while before things went south, but so in a way, it was true. But
because it's like a moving sidewalk. It has to move through these things to connect to the other thing to the other thing.
But
you can't
I guess
speed up to where you get to, like you can't go from 20 to where you find yourself differently at 35, or you moving through this life as it is.
I guess the point is that they can't get too specific and start saying on June the 3rd, I want you to walk down to 22nd Street. There you'll meet No. You're not going to get instructions like that.
Fun out of it. If you know that.
Exactly. And I had one psychic say, gee, do you want me to spoil the surprise? And
I like that.
Because I asked her one time after going out how many times during this divorce period, I was trying to, it was a big mess. I don't want to get into all the details, but I says, is this all I'm ever going to be? And she says, Mark, you don't want me to tell you the surprise and everything. You got to live it.
Got to live it.
Yeah. So it's a tricky business. They're helpful. And I think the best thing I got out of going to mediums and stuff was the therapeutic thing of talking the problem, and they give you extra insights. Like the person that I was dealing with at the time, they were telling me things that they were doing behind my back. It turned out to be true. And saying, hey, you're being used here. And you just have to learn to accept that. This is never going to work. But I didn't want to accept that.
Even though you knew it somewhere on your level.
I knew it. Yeah, by the things that was being said.
I don't want to hear.
Yeah. And I eventually opened my mind, did the considering everything that was going on, the evidence and so forth, and I worked it out and moved on. And it was very helpful.
That sounds like what you've done scientifically, but you had to do it in the human realm.
Yeah.
Like you had to notice this pattern, and there were times, even when the humanity, we can see the reality. Like the fabric of reality was also working within your marriage, then divorce, and it's all in the fabric.
Yeah, there's an overall pattern, or you have to attune yourself to doing the right things for the right reasons, even though it may not be the easiest or the thing that it may bring you pain. But You have to overcome those things so that you could move forward and get better and do better.
I love that quote. I'm going to quote that. That's like, you have to attune yourself.
Right.
Attune yourself. And that, I believe, is what we do as we go throughout our life, is tuning ourselves to be quicker to pick up the message, to hear the instructions, that we become more masters throughout our life. But we need all that life to just do the mastery to get there.
Yeah.
Learn and grow and evolve and bring ourselves to.
If you can master your own reality, that's a great, hey, that's a great thing to have done. Even just that.
Yes. That.
You get to the other side, and the Father will say, "Hey, well done."
Now I can give you a higher level of responsibility in the whole bigger realm.
Yeah, they say there's higher levels of heaven and stuff. And
you have to be able to handle and get to that love one another here. And then we're like, okay, go.
You can only get there if you fit in. And if you're too angry and hateful and stuff, you don't get to the higher realms, I don't think.
Well, you wouldn't be able to handle the frequency.
Right.
If you can't handle the frequency here, and you can't hold that higher level vibration on a regular basis here in this frequency, you wouldn't be able. You'd be torn apart energetically at those higher realms, because you just can't handle it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I love this conversation, and I love where it's been and where it's going. And I know we could do this for hours. Unfortunately, the show is going to end here in just a few short minutes. And Mark, there's so much about you, and you've only shared just a fraction of who you are and the research that you've done and what you believe and what you're up to in the world. So before we close, I want to make sure everyone knows where to find you and get your book and learn more about you here in the near future.
Well, of course, I'm on Facebook. Okay. You can look me up there. But my main hub, the central location, is www.super-relativity.com. There it is. That's the blog right there. And I have a blog where I talk about certain things, topics, some of which we talked about tonight. You go to the main page, it's got where my book is on Amazon. It points to another important place I want people to go to is my YouTube page, because the UFOs that I'm photographing are going to be showing up there. There's conversations, a lot of shows I've been on are there. If you guys would like, I put this show there. I would love to have it there, but that's up to you guys.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do
stay
that.
After we close the show, Mark, just stay and we'll get you a link, okay?
Okay. Where else? My papers are on ResearchGate. If you want to know how the solution for the unified field theory, I have a paper. It's 50 pages long. It's a little bit lengthy, and it is scientifically oriented, of course, but there is a lot of explanation, a lot of words, and that's something physicists don't usually use. So I wrote this more for the layman than I did for the physicists. There is some math at the end, and they can understand it, but the deep meaning of that is vitally important, because there's solutions there for gravity and so forth. I guess that's all the places. To YouTube, please come subscribe. It's a way of keeping up with what I'm doing, my live webcam and so forth, and my experiments that I'm working on. I'll put them up there as I complete them. So that's basically it. Just start with my website.
Yeah, it looks like all of the links are there, and that's super-relativity.com. You'll be able to learn more about Mark, the book, how to get the book, his events, interviews, and all of the links to his social media. It's a good thing about having a website, right? I love it. Well, Mark, it has been a pleasure to have you here on the show with us tonight. I actually learned quite a bit.
It was really delightful.
Actually, I actually learned
She's like, whoa, I grasped some of those ideas.
Well, I try to do it, explain in layman's terms, because Einstein said its theory isn't any good unless your grandma can understand it.
Oh, I like that.
Very
And,
true.
and it's true. Yeah, I mean, what's the point of all this if it's not understandable to people? It's got to be. It's got to make sense. That's how you know it's right.
Mhm.
And
If
it
it doesn't make sense, be suspicious.
Right.
Very true. Very true.
That's another good quote. It doesn't make sense. Be suspicious.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Everything would be suspicious to me. 'Cause so many things don't make sense.
But there's those times, but you know that there's those times where you're like, no, it's just not.
Yeah.
There's the ring of truth, and then there's the not ring.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. What a great night. Thanks again for being here with us, Mark. And make sure you stay so we can visit afterwards, okay?
Okay.
And to all of you, our wanderers, you've been very active in the chat. We appreciate it. We think it's so good when you guys are having the conversations. And we just appreciate the support and being able to support you as well. So with that being said, make sure you leave little messages for us on our Whisper Wednesdays voicemail at 801-686-8214. We'd love to hear from you. Until next week, be good to yourself and be good to each other. Good night.